Hello, my name is Berni Neal, and
And I'm Rob, her personal assistant.
thank you. And I'm really, really honored to be invited to be part of the given conversation. And I was asked to talk to you about how I embraced my call to motherhood and intertwined that with my apostolate work and, well, where the Holy Spirit and the journey that I'm on. So I'll start by saying that I define myself as a Catholic woman, wife, and mother. And but the world defines me as a person who's been in advertising. And at first I thought that was really shallow, because what is advertising? Well, advertising is taking a product and identifying its key attribute and then publicizing that to as broadest an audience as possible, and hopefully attracting those that will purchase that product and be part of your brand. And by God's grace, I received the revelation, really, that, hey, that's really not a bad thing, because that's evangelization. So now I'm focused on doing advertising for the church and hoping to draw others to the life of the church, to the heart of Jesus, all under the beautiful protection of the mantle of our Blessed Mother Mary. So that made me feel much better that all that experience obviously is not going to waste. So the other kind of parallel that was a great gift to me was to try to understand my three roles in this one person. So, very much the Trinity. So God the Father, my Catholicity, the Son, my role as a wife, and the Holy Spirit, my motherhood. So God and my Catholicity. There was a really beautiful quotation from a nun from the Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. Her name, I believe, was Sister Mary Judith. And they were on Oprah. And one of the quotations, or one of the things that, sprung from her heart so beautifully, she said, and I want to read it so I get it right: if you don't believe in something greater than yourself, you'll never do anything greater than yourself. And I really just, that has so stayed with me. So Sister Mary Judith, or Judith Mary, I'm not sure, I'm so sorry, I don't remember. But just know that has made such an impact on me from the moment that I watched you on Oprah and heard that. And that does, I think, really capture the beauty of our Catholic faith. We believe in something greater than ourselves because we know that reality. And that's what allows us to rise. That's what's allowed me to be this Orange County housewife and get myself involved in these amazing national and international apostolates. How? Only because of the Lord's hand. In terms of the Son and my role as a wife, well, I want to be the best co-collaborator to Rob, who you met, and to be able to convey his heart, all of the goodness and all of the service and all the things that we together want to express to the world because of the gift that's been given to us. And so I really believe and beautifully feel that parallel helps me in my day-to-day. The Holy Spirit and my motherhood. Well, the Holy Spirit is a gift to all of us because it prompts us and whispers into our ear to do good. And in my motherhood, I want to do that for my children, to be able to be a guide and an example and to prompt them to do good. Now, hopefully, and my children might argue that I nag them and I'm not so successful, but frankly, I really wish the Holy Spirit would be much more louder in his promptings. But nevertheless, I see that as kind of a proxy for hopefully how I can be, present and just quietly infuse the other, people in my life to who I mother, just as the Holy Spirit does for me. So these are beautiful Catholic, more than Catholic. They're just human ways of capturing for me, how I can go out into the world and hopefully do what I'm called to do, which is to proclaim and share the beautiful gift of faith and the good news. So how I've done that is really looked at things that are that help me grow. So I was working when my children were younger, and I was able to volunteer at their school because that gave me the opportunity to grow and to be in community and to share my faith with others, Catholic and non-Catholic. And that was very helpful. And that was another kind of great lesson as I went on, because then I've continued to do that. When they were in college and they weren't home, my kids are now 30 and 32. So I continue to want to grow and to do other things. I don't have them leading me in different activities. So I've been left to my own devices and to find those things that are my passion and how the Lord calls me to be in the world. Rob and I have zeroed in on some key areas, and pro-life, Catholic education, assisting priests and bishops in their leadership. I've gotten involved in media, these different Catholic, if you will, tent poles. And then we look at it also from the perspective of how to cross-pollinate that information, because we are involved in these different things. Rob's involved with Beckett Fund, Religious Liberty. So we're able to speak to a lot of people and bring this information in different perspectives. It really, the issue is really, it continues to be, I see, communication. People are not aware what other people are doing. There's redundancy, there is just a lack of communication. So that's helpful. And then for me, with my advertising experience, it goes back to how to identify the best thing that that organization has to offer and, voice that to as many people as possible. How I've gotten active in so many different things, well, I don't have to tell this group for sure. I'm sure so many of you are challenged by the work-life balance conversation that's so prevalent. But that, you raise your hand. And again, I'm speaking to a group who, raises both their hands and their legs, and then you end up flat on your, because there's no work-life balance when you raise all those things up at once. But the ability to start to really, first, you have to get involved. You have to try. We've also done a strategy we've refined over time, and we do it again looking at a parallel that the Lord has given us of how to go about making friends and even marriage. So in the first year, I get to know the organization, become friends, go to their gala, read their newsletters. The second year, I become a little more exclusive and I volunteer and I become more active. And by the third year, Rob really comes in and I give him the rundown of what I've been doing and, what I think of the organization, whether it's right for both of us to get involved. And at that point, well, then, it becomes, are we going to break up or are we going to get married? And if you get married, you're going to buy the ring, which in my case means I'm going to be making possibly a donation. And Rob and I discuss that and see if that's, again, the right fit. And sometimes there is a breakup. And that's okay too. You have to be thoughtful. You only have, so much time. So I think for me, I guess I would wrap it up by saying the key things that I've seen in my motherhood, intertwining with how I've gone in my apostolate work, and what I've learned, the three things that kind of really guide me. One is that just as in my motherhood, mistakes will happen. And in the organizations I've worked with, sometimes, plans don't go right. And so you have to allow for that room to accompany an apostolate, and for myself as well. But how you recover and how you learn from that is really where the rubber meets the road. And that's the same in my motherhood with my children. The second thing is to be able to hold them accountable. Myself, my children, the apostolates I work with, if you do something, don't go in just to do the fun parts, right? Which is planning the gala and decorating for it, which for me, I like that part. I don't like, the budgeting and, raising money and that kind of thing, but that is part of it. So it's that hard work too of holding myself accountable and the organization I'm a part of. Time is precious and you want to make the most of it. If somebody else is better at that part, then co-chair with them and have them help complement you and your gifts. The third thing I would say is probably the most interesting, because when I've gotten involved, these groups start as friends, but you spend a lot of time with these people. So you pray together, you receive the Eucharist together, you learn about, you pray the rosary and their petitions and the intercessions. And so you go from friends to family. And so the third, and not sometimes, most of the time, the hardest thing is to love them. And so I hope one day to be able to meet you and love you and find out how you're giving in the world. I hope to see you out there side by side with me in some of these apostolates. Thank you again for your time.